Now, I've just done the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered 100% and reviewed it. I loved every second of replaying Oblivion. Well, maybe got a bit tired of that bit where you deal with the Oblivion gates back to back in the story. But overall, I loved revisiting Oblivion, but it also made me realise something kind of depressing. Modern AAA RPGs just don't hit the same anymore. Of course, there's some exceptions.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thing is, AAA RPGs used to be amazing. It feels like a lot of modern AAA RPGs have lost all their secret sauce.
Not a bit of original thought in their lifeless husks.
From writers who think they're so quirky and cool for projecting their coffee obsession into their dark fantasy character writing.
Coffee.
I would kill for a decent cup of coffee. Coffee.
Coffee shop. How's the coffee?
I dreamed about this coffee.
Coffee. For coffee, I mean.
Or maybe it's cramming the copy-paste open world formula into an RPG, where you're given a map of repetitive tasks. In contrast, it was so fun getting to replay Oblivion and explore its open world and discover so many things for myself.
Okay, yeah! That sounds great!
Microtransactions are like a swear word to me. These should be illegal in single-player RPGs.
Stop! You violated the law!
When you had the option to buy things like in-game resources or earn things faster, it just completely devalues your time and experience with the game.
It's an opportunity to make millions.
Modern RPGs like Assassin's Creed Shadows with these kind of microtransactions just feel dirty to play.
This is only the beginning. Worse is yet to come.
Or how about character writers more interested in pushing their controversial political opinions than doing their job and writing an interesting fantasy character?
So, I'm non-binary.
What does that mean?
Tosh is literally the most unlikable RPG character and companion I've ever seen.
Shut up.
You have to ask them to not bully your other companions.
Emmerich would appreciate not being bullied and called names. Ugh.
It doesn't take a degree in game design or storytelling to see this as a horrible character.
Ugh.
Yet a games company of the very best still put this out. BioWare also made masterpieces like Dragon Age Origins, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, and Mass Effect 2. How the mighty have fallen.
Shit. You're right.
A lot of AAA RPGs these days just feel so safe. I thought Avowed was decent, but I was critical of a few things, mainly the storytelling.
That doesn't sound good.
Avowed is all about fungus-mutated zombies, but at no point does it feel dark or threatening. I never felt like there were any stakes. When did undeath and necromancy become soft and timid?
Another shit atop the pile then.
The whole world feels timid, soft and safe. You can even play an evil character in Avowed, but you're about as evil and effective as a Magikarp. Again, playing Oblivion blew it out the water.
You sleep rather soundly for a murderer. That's good.
These kind of RPGs are nearly always from AAA game studios. It kind of sucks, because these should be the best RPGs with so many experienced developers working on them. AAA used to mean something special. Something excellent.
Excellent.
Tell you what would also be excellent, if you considered subbing to Peter Bytes or liking the video for more content like this. Cover lots of RPGs, you might like my Final Fantasy series, where I'm replaying them all and ranking them against each other as I go. Thank you. Dragon Age is always a good example. The original Dragon Age Origins was an excellent game, like a 95 to 100. It was badass. I loved the side characters. The companion quests were incredible. 16 years later, I still remember Morrigan's companion quest, where she learns the truth about her mother. The story was awesome. It was dark, mature, and the Darkspawn felt like a real threat. I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
The Darkspawn must be stopped here and now.
But modern Dragon Age with Veilguard has had all those awesome bits drained out. It's been about 6 months and I genuinely cannot even remember the character names or any of the side quests. I only remember Tash for the wrong reasons. Tash was one of the most unlikable characters I've ever seen in an RPG.
Shut up.
I just complete Avowed 100% as well. Like I said, I thought it was decent, but even though it was 2 weeks ago, I can barely remember any of the story. I remember bits of about 2 side quests. Sadly, the story wasn't that memorable.
I couldn't agree with you more.
These problems with RPGs are definitely a lot more prevalent in AAA studios. Basically, the larger the game studio, the larger the problems. And I'll get a bit more in depth with that in a little bit.
Wonderful.
AAA video game storytelling has taken a few steps backwards. Big story and character writers are more concerned about writing about controversial politics.
So, I'm non-binary.
Or it feels like these writers are trying to write stories for a completely different target audience to the people who have been playing their games for the past 20 or 30 years. Thing is, we've had politics in old AAA RPGs like Bioshock, and the politics were brilliant.
Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow?
The city of Rapture was built to be a utopia free from the government or religion, a place where you reap what you sow. While it might sound nice on the surface, Rapture transforms into a hellscape of inequality through political extremists and their desire for capitalism. Ironically, I feel like some of these larger AAA game studios have become Rapture. I think another one of the big reasons some of these games flop or get a mixed reception is just that there's so many people working on a game. Things become more complex and conflicting visions can dilute the original focus of the game. Not just that, I know for a fact that in these gigantic 20,000 employee game studios, you also get these businessmen that know nothing about game development or game design, and they're making big decisions.
It's an opportunity to make millions.
There's too many cooks with different tastes, and games end up losing their special sauce, and we get something tasting generic. For reference, The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion was originally made by 70 developers at Bethesda. It was brilliant, loved almost every second of replaying the remaster.
Wonderful!
But Ubisoft's latest RPG, Assassin's Creed Shadows, has 2-hour-long credits. And in big AAA organisations like Ubisoft, multiple studios will work on the same games from opposite ends of the world. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
It must be so difficult to be in sync with these different studios across the world at a place like Ubisoft. I think we're starting to see a rise in smaller game studios. We've had the boom of real small-scale indie developers already, but I'm talking about the single-A or double-A game studios in between indie developers and big AAA organisations like Ubisoft. It's just so much easier to work as a team, be in sync and be creative when you're not a tiny cogwheel in a gigantic game project of over 600 developers like Ubisoft's Star Wars Outlaws.
So it seems.
I'm actually playing through a new RPG at the moment, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and I'm really impressed so far. Story and character writing, visuals and art styles are top notch. What's interesting is that Clair Obscur was made by ex-Ubisoft developers in a very small studio called Sandfall Interactive. Clair Obscur is doing really well in the Steam charts and even outperforming Ubisoft's latest RPGs.
High praise.
Clair Obscur has a tiny studio in comparison to the numbers behind Ubisoft's latest RPGs. And Clair Obscur feels so much more unique, creative, fresh, interesting and well written. It's a bit odd that under Ubisoft, mediocre to bad RPGs are made, but once these developers are out of Ubisoft, they're making masterpiece RPGs. I genuinely believe the more people working on a game, the worse it becomes. The developers get a lot more creative freedom, and they can unshackle from their corporate chains in a smaller scale studio and project.
Huh. Well, what do you know? I think you just convinced me.
I want to support these amazing RPGs like Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and I've lost a lot of interest in these AAA large-scale RPGs. AAA games used to mean something really special, and Oblivion is a living proof of that. I hope we get to see more indie, single or double A game studios, because it just seems that once a game studio becomes so large and becomes AAA, then the games just seem to lose their magic and their special sauce. Alright, have a good one.